Today we're going to do a dye using onion skins. This is a fantastic dye to start with if you've never done a natural dye before, because all you need is a pot of water, some onion skins, and your fiber. So what do I have today? I have my pot of water, I have my onions, I have two varieties, a yellow and a red, and I have my fiber. Now you can use an animal fiber or you can use a plant fiber. I always use animal fibers, so today I have a collection of a pre-mordanted wool with alum, and I also have some wool with no mordant because you do not need a mordant with this dye. So for the onions, all you want are the onion skins. So when you're doing your cooking with onions, you just process your onion like always, except instead of composting your skins, you're just gonna leave them out to dry a little bit to get out some of that extra moisture. And these are the ones that you're going to use to dye, not these inner ones. Now, obviously, we're going to need more skins than just from one onion. So this is something that you can collect over time, and you can just store your onion skins in a little bag like this. So let's do a red onion. And I'm using yellow onions and red onions today because they actually will make two different shades. And the fun thing about onions is you're never totally sure what shade of yellow or orange you're gonna get with the yellows. Sometimes I get greens and browns with the red. But that's the fun of doing a natural dye, is you have to expect the unexpected. Now, keep these skins separate. Store for later. Oh, my eyes are starting to water. That's okay, I'm gonna power through. It's worth the pain. Okay, I've got my red onion skins here, and I've got my yellow onion skins there, and thankfully I have a dried bag of yellow onion skins here, and a dried bag of red onion skins here. So let's add it to the water and get this dye going. When it comes to amount of onion skins to fiber, you want at least twice as much. Just remember, the more skins, the deeper color of the dye. We're gonna turn up the heat, get these dyes going to about a low boil for an hour, and then we're gonna add our fiber. While these have been happily bubbling along for the last hour, I went ahead and put my yarn into a bowl of warm water because I don't want to shock the yarn when I put it into the dye pot. And I should also mention a lot of dyers will sometimes pull out the dye stuff, strain it before they add their fiber in, but I'm a one pot dye girl, so I'm gonna add the fiber in as is. So into my yellow pot here, I'm going to add a skein of mordanted wool and a skein of unmordanted wool. Oh, this looks so good. Okay. And I put a little tag on my non-mordanted wool so I know which is which. I'm gonna add this little guy in right next to it. And again, I'm going to give this a little bit of a swirl, make sure it's moving freely. And for my last skein, we're going to have some fun, and I'm going to put half in one and half in the other. So half into one dye bath and half in the other. Now we're going to do the hardest part, which is let it do its thing for the next 30 minutes. So some really cool stuff is happening in the dye pot. And I think it's because I'm using a couple of different types of fibers. So here you can see, this is the non-mordant one. And then next to it, this little skein has a little bit of nylon in it. And part of it is dyeing dark orange. And then look at that yellow in there too. And then this last skein that I did with a double dip, this is 100% wool. And it's like this neon yellow. I mean, if you look at the two together, between the non-mordanted and the 100% wool and the mordanted 100% wool, look at that difference in color. This is exciting stuff, and this is why you do dye pots. And then over here, again, here's the 100% wool. You can see the color wicking up. Look, it's a very almost similar type of yellow. And then this one has a little bit of nylon in it. And it's like this kind of green, almost a little brown. It's only been 10 minutes, so okay, we gotta just calm down and give it another 20 minutes. Let's see what happens. It's been over 30 minutes, so I'm gonna pull this yarn because it is a very beautiful, vibrant orange. And you pull the yarn when you like the color. So that was the mordanted skein, but look at the non-mordanted skein. So this is why this is a perfect dye. If you've never dyed before, you don't have to mordant your yarn because you can still get amazing color. Let's do the purple onions. So, the yellow onions give us sort of a yellowish orange, and the purple onions don't give us purple, but they do give us sort of a very olivey green, which is kind of hard to tell while it's still wet. So we will let these cool in their bowls, and then when they're cooler, we're gonna rinse until the dye is clear. But first, let me pull this guy. You can really see the yellow-orange tones from the yellow onion, and then the greener tones from that purple onion. Now there's a lot of dye left in these two dye pots. So if I had more fiber, I would be throwing it in, and I'd likely get just a lighter shade of the yellow and a lighter shade of the green, but I don't. So in this circumstance, I'm just gonna pour the dye into very large glass jars and use it later. So I'm gonna rinse and dry, and until we dye again.